Housing Development Program in Africa. Housing Development Program and the globe. Number one, Housing Development Program.
Housing goes far beyond providing shelter. It is a vital foundation for health, economic stability, safety, and the overall well-being of individuals and communities. Hello and welcome to another fascinating edition of Housing Development, your trusted weekly program, bringing you the very latest updates, insights, and stories from the housing, urban development, and construction sectors. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joseph Johnson. Before we take a look at today's lineup, let's begin with some of the top stories making headlines in the housing sector.
The House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the continuous increase in the prices of building materials across Nigeria, warning that the trend is worsening the country's housing deficit. The resolution followed a motion sponsored by Honorable Oboku Abontizibe Ofoji during plenary. He noted that despite Nigeria's abundance of construction raw materials such as limestone, sand, granite, and timber, the cost of building projects continues to rise sharply. According to the lawmaker, the rising costs are making affordable housing difficult to achieve, worsening Nigeria's estimated 28 million housing deficit and leading to higher rents, abandoned projects, and job losses in the construction sector. Following the motion's adoption, the House urged relevant government agencies, including the FCCPC, to investigate possible market distortions, anti-competitive practices, and supply chain challenges contributing to the price hikes. Lawmakers also resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to conduct a comprehensive investigation into the matter. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has defended the construction of houses for judges and justices in Abuja, insisting that the projects do not threaten judicial independence. Speaking after inspecting ongoing judicial infrastructure projects in the Federal Capital Territory, Wike dismissed criticisms reportedly raised by the Nigerian Bar Association (NBA), describing government support for the judiciary as a long-standing practice. According to him, providing residential accommodation and office facilities for judicial officers does not amount to executive interference in the judiciary. The minister also accused the NBA leadership of inconsistency, arguing that the association regularly receives support from state governments for its activities while criticizing similar interventions in the judiciary. Wike said the projects, including judges' quarters and the Court of Appeal Abuja Division, are part of activities marking President Bola Tinubu's third anniversary in office. The Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, has warned banks, mortgage institutions, and private investors against financing major development projects around Jabi Lake in Abuja until environmental and public interest concerns are fully addressed. In a statement, HDAN said while it supports responsible urban development in the Federal Capital Territory, any attempt to commercialize or significantly alter Jabi Lake without proper stakeholder engagement could trigger environmental, legal, and social challenges. The group described Jabi Lake as an important environmental and recreational asset under the Abuja Master Plan, stressing the need to preserve public access and protect the waterfront from excessive privatization. The advocacy group also called on the FCT administration to make public all agreements concerning the lake to promote transparency and accountability. According to HDAN, future development around Jabi Lake should focus on environmental protection, sustainable tourism, recreation, and beautification in line with long-term urban sustainability goals. Organizers of the Africa International Housing Show, AIHS, have called on governments and stakeholders across Africa to urgently address rising construction costs. Chief Executive Officer of AIHS, Festus Adebayo, said increasing prices of cement, steel, roofing materials, transportation and foreign exchange pressures are making affordable housing difficult for millions of Africans. He called for innovation, collaboration and policy reforms to reduce housing delivery costs, especially for low-income earners. The 20th anniversary edition of the Africa International Housing Show is scheduled to hold from July 13th to 18th, 2026 at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. The event will focus on affordable housing solutions, new technologies, housing finance reforms, and sustainable construction methods across Africa. To read the full details of the news, visit www.africahousingnews.com.
For many Nigerians, the challenge of meeting basic needs has become increasingly difficult as access to essentials such as food and shelter grows more uncertain by the day. This harsh reality continues to diminish hope for countless families, highlighting the growing housing deficit and the burden of homelessness across the country. The pressing question remains, what is the solution? Now, the Africa International Housing Show, AIHS 2026, offers a pathway forward, a platform where credibility meets opportunity and genuine buyers connect with trusted developers. Now, in its 20th edition, AIHS brings together investors, developers, policymakers, industry experts, and key decision makers within the housing sector, creating opportunities for collaboration, investment, and sustainable housing solutions, all under one roof. Let's take a look at some testimonials from previous editions.
This is my first visit to Nigeria and Abuja in specific. I've been invited to this housing show. This is my first visit to Nigeria. I've had a good chance to meet with all the Nigerian officials as well as the African ministers and delegations. I was honored to have a session to share our Egyptian experience in delivering social housing to low and middle income people. I highly recommend that the officials and the responsible of the conference issue some of these recommendations as a blueprint for housing for all as an outcome of this conference, and I'm very happy I attended and shared into issuing some recommendations that could help other African countries and neighbors, and we look forward to more collaboration with our African neighbors and bilateral coordination in helping each other push the policies forward.
My name is Patience Joseph, and I'm a sales manager at Tibilon Construction Company.
Give a shout out to African International Housing, and then I think they are doing a fantastic job. The organizers are doing a very, very fantastic job. Bringing all these people together is not a small task, and they are doing a fantastic job actually.
I would say that they actually put out a whole lot, because African Housing Show today, for me, it is actually amazing. This is our first time exhibiting, and I hope that we're actually going to come back. We'll keep coming back. That is, by the grace of God, we're going to get our clients here. Then definitely we'll come back.
African International Housing Show. This is an A+. It's a world-class event. It's a very, very well-packaged event, and I know this is not the best we can offer here. So shout out to Mr. Adebayo and the team for a job well done. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Solap Signature Properties Limited, widely recognized for delivering durable and high-quality housing projects across the Federal Capital Territory, has reiterated the critical role of proper foundation engineering in ensuring safe and lasting building construction. Speaking during an interview, the company's group managing director, architect Paul Akosu, emphasized the organization's dedication to engineering excellence and sustainable housing development.
I will tell you, foundation in a building, that's the most important part of any building project. Okay, but let me start by defining what a foundation is. Maybe for somebody who is not really schooled in this area. So a foundation in a building, that is like the lowest part of the building. And usually, it serves as the load transmitter because it carries the entire load of the building, transmit it down into the soil. Alright, so let's say it's a support system. The building is serving as a support system, the building, and then the soil beneath it. If that foundation is not strong enough, you discover that surely it will fail at some point. So it is a very critical component of the building, and everyone doing the building project must take foundation work very, very serious. Of course, there are key factors that will determine the type of foundation that you need to do for any project. Alright, if you are doing a project that it's a bungalow, you may really not need a very serious foundation because it's not really carrying much weight. If you are doing like something that is going like 2 suspended floors, surely the foundation will be different from a skyscraper going up to 10 floors, right? Yeah. So these are key factors. Also the type of soil, that foundation is going to support that foundation. There are key things that we do. Of course, there are also regulations that helps in guiding this. Then we have our internal checks to also ensure our foundation work is properly done. Part of that, before we do any project, we must conduct a soil test. That will tell us, alright, what type of soil that is on that ground to support and what type of foundation that is ideal, to support that type of soil. So when we do that, we also look at the nature, the type of building we want to execute there, carry out there, and that will also guide us and determine the depth that foundation will go. So generally, these are things that we do at Solab to ensure that our foundation work is properly done.
Something exciting is happening. The Burial Estate by Solab Signature Properties Limited, Buzape, Abuja, has an ongoing Salah promo where the 4-bedroom terrace plus BQ is going for 270 million naira instead of 300 million naira, while the 3-bedroom block of flats is going for 157,500,000 naira only, as opposed to 175 million naira. Exciting, right? I know, but here's why this is a smart move and not just a sweet deal. You're getting a home in a prime Buzape location, one of Abuja's most sought after areas. It comes with smart home features, so you're not just buying a house, you are stepping into modern living. And if you're thinking investment, this is a high ROI zone surrounded by premium neighborhoods like the DPR Estate, the INEC Quarters, and the Diplomatic Zone. Security sorted. It is a highly secure estate with a police post, so peace of mind is not up for debate. Plus, we are making it easier for you. You get a 10% discount with just 30% down payment and a flexible payment plan spread across 12 months. This promo ends on the 31st of May 2026. So the question is, are you still watching this, or are you already booking your unit? Send us a DM today to book your site inspections. At Solab Signature Properties, we are not just developers, we are your sure guide to smart real estate investments.
You're watching Housing Development. Thank you for staying with us. Sustainable urban development remains a critical pillar of national planning, playing a major role in reducing flooding, controlling the spread of slums, and minimizing economic losses. Against this backdrop, the Nathaniel Atebije Foundation for Planning Advocacy has raised concerns over Nigeria's growing urban planning challenges, calling for urgent and coordinated action to manage rapid urbanization and promote sustainable development. These issues took center stage at the Foundation's maiden annual lecture held in Abuja. Let's bring you details.
The Nathaniel Atebije Foundation for Planning Advocacy has raised concerns over Nigeria's growing urban planning challenges, calling for urgent action to manage rapid urbanization and ensure sustainable development. This was the focus of its maiden annual lecture held in Abuja. The event brought together urban planners, government officials, academics, and other stakeholders in the built environment under the theme, The Renewed Hope Agenda, the Physical Planning Perspective. Speaking at a pre-event press conference, the Foundation's founder, Nathaniel Atebije, stressed the need for effective fiscal planning as it is essential for sustainable growth. He warned that years of neglect have led to disorder in many cities, adding that continued inaction could threaten safety, sustainability, and human dignity.
Let us emphatically note that urban planning, otherwise called physical planning, is not a luxury, but a necessity in places where people want to grow sustainably. When planning is ignored, cities become disordered, unsafe, inefficient, and unjust. Unfortunately, this trajectory is the experience across many parts of Nigeria today. Yet, we are called the giant of Africa. We would like to highlight some of these issues and make relevant recommendations to remedy or ameliorate the impacts on our people and their environments. Some of the key planning issues and challenges in Nigeria are hereby being discussed. 1, the neglect of physical planning for human settlements. Across Nigeria, many towns and villages continue to grow without approval for physical development or layout frameworks. This has resulted in chaotic settlement patterns, inefficient land use, and high future cost of infrastructure provision. This is because most times planning is treated as an afterthought rather than a foundation for development.
Time for a short break. Please stay with us.
Are you getting ready for another big one? The largest housing show in Africa. 2 decades of relentless exhibition and conference. The 20th edition of the Africa International Housing Show, happening from the 13th to 18th of July 2026 at the prestigious Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, Nigeria. This premier event is Africa's largest housing and construction expo, attracting over 50,000 attendees in Africa and beyond, thereby giving room for developers, construction giants, financiers, home interiors, mortgage and microfinance banks, drawing from about 21 different countries of the world. Get ready to be part of history.
Welcome back. This is Housing Development. African real estate experts and industry stakeholders are calling for stronger collaboration, innovation, and knowledge-driven practices to tackle the continent's growing housing deficit. The call was made at the African Real Estate Entrepreneurship Bootcamp 2026 held in Lagos, where developers, investors, and entrepreneurs from across Africa gathered to discuss sustainable housing development and investment opportunities. Mary Agiobo has the report.
The next generation of ethical, skilled professionals.
The continent's growing housing deficit necessitated the gathering of these African real estate professionals in Lagos, where they explored strategies for sustainable housing development and investment. Convener of the bootcamp, Dr. Oluwatosin Olatunjoye, said the initiative was designed to raise a new generation of visionary real estate entrepreneurs capable of transforming the sector across Africa.
So if you look at the African housing deficit we have, you realize that the numbers of developers that we have within Africans, we are still scratching the surface. So we need more developers, we need more people that will be ready to collaborate together, we need investors, and we need people to come together to increase in terms of knowledge gap and also in terms of networking. And I'm sure by so doing, it will help us in reducing the housing deficit we have. So that is exactly what gave birth to the platform, which I believe this is a movement. It's not something we just want to do this year and stop. It's something that we'll keep doing year in, year come.
Other stakeholders at the event were unanimous in the fact that there is need for African countries to see the continent as a unified market for real estate development.
We should see Africa as a single market, and we should not be looking at Africa as a continent of 54 countries. But can we change our mindset to see Africa as a single market, particularly for Nigerian developers? And by so doing, we can scale and be a bigger and a better player.
The very simple way for a young person to take advantage of this beautiful industry, which is the real estate industry, is to focus on digital marketing and branding as well. Today we go to church, we go to places, we take pictures, and all we care about is the likes and the comments. But can you move beyond taking pictures of yourself into going into an estate, take pictures, take videos, beautiful captions? Instead of just going on Twitter and bashing people, you post these properties and then you find a buyer. Because if you're a real estate agent, a broker, or a realtor, your work is simple. Connect the buyer to the seller and make money off it. So as young entrepreneurs, this is our opportunity to use the digital world to market properties, to get access to money and capital.
Meanwhile, participants described the boot camp as a timely initiative aimed at strengthening industry capacity and promoting practical solutions to Africa's housing challenges. Mary Agiobo, reporting for Housing Development.
Now let's hear from people on the streets about their perspectives on housing challenges in Nigeria.
Across communities in Nigeria, people are facing rising house rents, difficulties in owning a homes, inadequate infrastructure, and inaccessibility to housing finance. Housing remains an important aspect to every individual and family in the society, and individuals say it has become increasingly difficult to afford a decent home in the country. Let's hear from people their challenges, their experiences, and the way forward to tackle this particular issue.
In a local area, we are paying house rents nothing less than 750,000 in a flat. So then a little thing like a self-contained is now 450,000, 500,000. So we gone through a lot. Even the road, we don't have good road, and there's no good water. Like in this Abuja now, you cannot drink the borehole water because every water are testing salty. So there is no good water, there is no steady light. We don't have steady lights. Government that are dealing with the estate, that is estate developers, they should be able to provide accommodation for the youth, not only the youth, people that are not having a helpful hand, that they can afford, even if the SafeCon can be 250,000, at least we can just hustle our way and pay the money, and life still continues since there is no job in the country.
Well, the housing system in Nigeria actually is very, very bad. It's not bad in the extent that they are not building, but the cost of building the material, most particularly in Abuja here. I know the rate at which they sell cement here in Abuja is equally the same at village. Even though the housing estate, Abuja should be one bedroom, let us say, assume, self-contained is 500,000 in the location in the satellite town. Even though you go to the village, it's almost the same. You understand? It's a general issue. It affects all Nigeria, including the villagers.
Voices from the streets there. Let's stay on housing challenges, because as access to housing becomes increasingly challenging for millions of Nigerians, one platform is creating new opportunities by bringing together major investors, leading developers, and key decision makers in the industry. That platform is the Africa International Housing Show 2026. Now, making its 20th anniversary, the event is scheduled to take place from July 13th to 18th, 2026 at the Transcorp Hilton, Abuja.
Are you getting ready for another big one? The largest housing show in Africa. 2 decades of relentless exhibition and conference. The 20th edition of the Africa International Housing Show, happening from the 13th to 18th of July 2026 at the prestigious Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, Nigeria. This premier event is Africa's largest housing and construction expo, attracting over 50,000 attendees in Africa and beyond, thereby giving room for developers, construction giants, financiers, home interiors, mortgage and microfinance banks, drawing from about 21 different countries of the world. Get ready to be part of history.
Indeed, it has been an engaging edition as we explored major stories shaping the housing sector, alongside insightful reports and reactions from members of the public. And with that, we have come to the end of this week's edition of Housing Development. Join us again next week for more updates, analyses, and developments from the housing and construction industry. For more information, updates, and exclusive housing content in the meantime, follow Housing TV Africa handles across all social media platforms as displayed on your screen. My name is Joseph Johnson. Bye for now.